video on this.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Keystroke Medium. We are live with the second biggest show ever, and actually the first biggest show of 2019. This is the Better Halves show on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes here with my co-host Scott Moon, and from my left to right, and it's probably your right to left, we have drum roll, please. We have Wendy and Sharon and Joy and Sheila and Bridget. They are all here because they are spouses of famous writers and therefore famous themselves. And so we have brought them on the show to talk about their experiences in lives with those crazy people.
Talk about the real magic.
That's right. Talk about the actual stories behind the stories, to coin a phrase of a dear friend, Hank Garner. So to start off the show, I'd like to start just by kind of having everyone introduce themselves and say something crazy or something that somebody might not know about them as we go into the show. And Wendy, you are first up because you're in the hot seat first. So if you would introduce yourself, and for those that are watching. If you're listening, it doesn't matter. But if you're watching, Wendy's camera is not working, and that's why you can't see her tonight.
Well, I'm in costume incognito, so they don't need to see me. I'm good.
Ultimate.
Invisible. I'm invisible. My name is Wendy Woods. I am married to Christopher Woods. He writes science fiction, fantasy, things like that. Military, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, all kinds of books. Something that you might not know about me. I have worked for some very big stars in the music industry, running their dressing rooms and stuff. So I did that a lot in college. Everybody from Elton John through Lionel Richie, Eddie Murphy, Fleetwood Mac, Tina Turner, you name it.
That's awesome. I want to know how Josh got Elton John's glasses that he's wearing on every episode. How does that happen?
It's a circle of life.
Oh, come on. I thought those were RPGs.
I'm good. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool.
Thank you, Wendy. Sharon, you're up.
Oh, me? Okay. I'm married to David Weber. As of April the 19th of this year, we'll be married 21 years. So yay!
Congrats.
And I haven't killed him yet, so that's always a good thing.
The plus.
There have been times. We have 3 kids, 6 cats, and 1 dog currently. And something about me. I used to do synchronized swimming in my youth. Wow. There you go.
Wow.
And I coached it and everything. Yep.
We've been talking about getting a Keystroke Medium synchronized swimming team. So
there you go.
Pretty fortuitous.
I will pick music for you.
That's awesome. Very cool. Joy, you're up next.
I'm Joy. Married to Mark for we hit 21 years in January. So congratulations, Sharon.
Cool.
It is sometimes an effort to not kill them at this point. But
everybody says that with a big smile on the face. I'm not killing him today. I win.
Sometimes it takes a little restraint.
Right.
But something you don't know about me, I once lived in a teepee for 6 months.
Oh,
cool.
Like a for real legit like teepee.
Yeah. Like made by Panther Primitives, canvas, 24-foot poles, the whole 9 yards.
And what brought you to doing that?
I was married before, so I was married to my first husband, and his family had some property in southern Indiana that he and his sisters owned in common. So they deeded us off permission to use a couple of acres, and there had to be a whole lot of work done before anything like resembling a real house could go in there. So that summer and through the fall, we lived in the teepee while we cleared the property, got a trailer in, found the well, cleaned it up, ran the water, all that fun stuff. So it was from like June through Thanksgiving-ish.
Right.
My dad finally came down and helped us sink the new pump down into the captured spring well. And then we got to actually live indoors.
Yay.
Or winter, that's a good thing.
Yeah. It was getting a little chilly.
I was gonna say that'd be fun like during the summertime, but once it starts getting cold, I'm like, let's just live in the car.
Yeah, right. That was a very long time ago. I think I was 23.
Young.
Sounds like an adventure, though. It really does.
It was definitely quite the adventure.
And now you live with an author, which is not unlike living in a teepee.
Right? Well, and we just sold our house, so we're about to live in an RV. Permanently. So
oh, that's cool. We'll talk about that too.
Right?
Yeah, just nickname it. Right.
Except we've already named it Serenity because that's what we did.
Of course, right?
Obviously. Sheila, I think we're the only one that has ever. You're the only one that we have met in person.
Yes.
We met in Vegas last year.
Lots of fun.
So we know. Yes, it was fun. It was fun. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
About fire.
I don't want to touch that. Right now.
So Sheila Kennedy.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. Did Mark just grab duct tape and start duct taping the door behind?
No, he grabbed packing tape because he's packing up people's orders to go out for T-shirts and ribbons and stuff. I'm like, why didn't you just grab it and walk out the door and make the noise in your own office? No.
We like sound effects.
Love that. I'm like, wait, is there like an axe murderer behind you? Turn around.
My door's right there. So yeah.
When somebody tries to escape later in the show, it'll be more alarming.
Yeah.
We interrupted. We're terrible hosts.
Sorry, there was an axe murderer in Joy's house. Sheila, please continue.
Get out of the house now.
So, Sheila Kennedy, married to Chris Kennedy, author, publisher for 26 years now. I have 3 children. I have 20-year-old twin girls that are identical and a 22-year-old boy. Let's see, 2 dogs, 2 birds, and a bearded dragon. Something you may not know about me. I'm not allowed to vote in the U.S. and I've been married twice. So not allowed to vote. The same guy. Yep. So not allowed to vote because I'm still a permanent resident of the U.S. So I can vote in Canada, but not here. And married to Chris twice, once to get me into the country. And then the second one was the big wedding.
Right.
So interesting fun fact. I thought you said boat, B-O-A-T. And I was like, what? Why could you not boat in the U.S.? Like,
really hard.
Is there a rule that I don't know? It's like, the only thing I can't do is boat in the U.S.
So you may catch me saying funny words. Like I do still have a Canadian accent, so it'll come out every once in a while.
There you go.
Nicely done.
But that's it. That's me in a nutshell.
Go oot and a boot.
Yes, oot and a boot.
What are you talking about, eh? Bridget actually first joined the show. She was going to pantomime for Wendy because we could not hear what Wendy was saying. We could not hear what Brittany was saying. Brittany, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Bridget.
Bridget.
Sorry, Bridget. I'm sorry, Bridget.
It's okay. It's okay.
Josh is drunk.
I'm Bridget Correa, married to Larry Correa, the International Lord of Hate. 21 years on Wednesday, so go on.
21 Club. 21 Club.
Something you might not know about me, I once elbowed a girl in the face at a They Might Be Giants concert and gave her a bloody nose. That was kind of fun.
I mean,
still Bridget Correa.
That's legit.
But
don't call that.
That gives you
Don't call her Brittany.
She's an international lady.
I think that they would have like a mosh pit, right? They might be giants, but there you go.
Mosh pits. Yeah. What happens to the mosh pit?
We need one of those at a convention. We need a mosh pit.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Watch out for my elbows.
So far we're gonna have a mosh pit and a teepee while we're
Yep.
listening to Elton John. Somebody's duct taping somebody.
Duct taping something. Yeah. So.
I did not see the show starting off that way at all, so we're off to a really good start. So I'm interested to know. Obviously, all of your husbands have been writing for a really long time, and I know that when I approached my wife, I'm a full-time writer. And by the way, I got in trouble today because I forgot to mention to my wife that I was doing a spouses show. And when I said, "Oh, you might want to watch the spouses show tonight," she turned and looked at me and said, the hell you mean you're doing a spouse's show?
Now you have to die.
I'm doing a spouse's, and then it clicked, and I was like,
She's
oh
not on it.
shit.
Oops.
And so I just spent 15 minutes backpedaling, going, So then I got like a big, huge 2-paragraph Facebook blast because I didn't invite her on the show. I don't know if she's watching.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You gotta sleep sometime, Josh.
Yeah, oh man.
who goes to sleep first?
I might be blowing up the air mattress tonight. I'm not lying about that.
We did say we like to kill husbands, so
that's right. I know. That's what I'm really worried
now you know why.
Luckily, I face my door, so I have like an eyeball.
Practical.
If you see me doing this, and I'm like, it's because my wife's coming in to kill me.
And then we'll hear the duct tape. And the boxes.
So I'm curious that when I met my wife, I was not a full-time writer, and I was not even a part-time writer. And then when I started getting into it, and then told her that that's what I wanted to do, I got this really like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm curious how, I mean, obviously all your husbands have been writing and being successful at it, but what was it like in the beginning? And I guess we could start, if you want, we could go reverse and do Bridget first this time, and just kind of go down the row and have a conversation about it.
At first, like, honestly, it's really weird because I don't know how many, like, statistically authors you guys have in your towns, but there aren't a ton in my community. So I didn't really know what to expect as far as the work schedule. And he's home all day. He's working from home all day. So people think that he has all this free time. But in reality, he's a workaholic, and he's working sometimes 10-hour days if he's in the mood to work the 10-hour day. And so that was challenging. And there's just a lot of stuff. You don't have anybody. Well, now I do. Now I have people. But at the time, I didn't have people that I could say, so how does this work? And then I was worried about finances, what about insurance, and all of I think the really normal concerns that you would have. And so I don't know, it's hard because when if you want to be a doctor, there's a really clear career path. If you want to be a lawyer, there's a really clear career path, and you know kind of what to expect and how you're going to get from point A to point B. But to be a writer, you just don't know. And everybody's path is really different, and how you find success is really different. So for me, that was hard. And it was just, who do you even talk to about that? Now talk to us, but
and I'm real curious how all of you got together. That's one of the questions I want to ask at some point, because you seem like you have a pretty tight group. You all kind of know each other. Is that right?
Mostly, yeah, I think so.
Anyway, yeah.
Plus, there's like the tribe. The truth is there's the tribe. We all are there's just stuff that we have in common because we're married to kind of weird writer guys.
Excellent.
What about Sheila? Chris was a Navy pilot, and then he retired,
Right.
and then became a writer and a publisher after. So what was that kind of transition like? Did you know he was a writer before he just kind of came out and said this is what he wanted to do, or?
Absolutely not. So he went from being a naval aviator to an elementary school principal, and I was actually his librarian for 5 years in the school. So I had actually worked for him and had him as my boss. It was a weird thing to start out with, but it got easier as time went on. And then we moved here to Virginia Beach. And so 5.5 years ago, he had a boring day job, long commute, going from Norfolk, Virginia to Virginia Beach, back and forth. And he just came up with this story idea 5.5 years ago and published it on our twin girl's birthday, his very first book. Kept working the day job, and he has now since quit the day job, and he's been doing this full time for 1.5 years. And it's amazing. It was weird to begin with because I was used to having my quiet time at home, and then all of a sudden he was here all day, every day, and he took over my kitchen table, and I said, because he's got an office right above me.
My sister.
Yep.
So I love you, but you need to go somewhere else. I don't care if you go outside, if you go upstairs, he's probably listening. That's
God,
okay.
I hope Mark is watching this because I sing this song every day.
So Yeah, it was weird, but now we've kind of got a thing where if he has the door shut upstairs, because I'm not perfect either. And if I go upstairs and his door's open, that's free reign for me to bug him. If I have a question, if I want to go in there and grab something. So if he shuts the door, I know, okay, don't bug him. He's writing, he's doing a podcast, whatever it is he's doing. But if that door's open, he's fair game. And I do try to respect his space, and it works out. We're getting there, but you have to remember it's really new to me still. So
Sure.
Yeah.
And Joy, it's been kind of the same, maybe a little bit longer for you than it has been for Sheila. I mean, Chris and Mark work really close together, obviously with Four Horsemen, and so growing that business together has been kind of a growth. But what about you and Mark starting out?
So Mark was already a writer before I ever met him, but he was a hobby writer. He had a couple of stories that he just kept working over and rewriting, and his eventual like magnum opus will be probably this project that we call the Lord's Prayer, which will probably tick off a lot of religious folks, but I'm sorry in advance if that happens. But, you know, it's a science fiction take on kind of what would happen if DNA were available and somebody were to recreate the body of Christ, the physical, actual human body. So it's interesting, but he's been playing with that for 25 years now. But he's always had a day job. And when we first got together, he was driving expedited trucks short, across country and stuff. So we were off and on as far as him having time to write. And finally, he got into the point where he was writing every day, even if he had to stay up and short himself on sleep. So for the last probably 15 years, he's written very religiously every day. And he's a night owl. And so he was super happy when a year ago he got to actually quit the day job. Now, of course, we still don't have health insurance, so that's still an issue to be solved. But, we're able to be self-sufficient with that one exception. And he's ecstatic. He works until he can't work anymore, until he's literally falling asleep at the keyboard. He stumbles into bed. I just let him sleep until he wakes up on his own, unless he sets an alarm, which he sucks at doing. And then he, stumbles in, has some breakfast, and goes back to work. So what Bridget said about him being, Larry being a workaholic is very true. Mark's got 3 or 4 stories going at any one time, and he could work, 10 to 16 hours and not even think about it. When he gets really in that groove, I'll go and do all the cooking. But when he needs a thinking break, he'll do the cooking. So the last few months, he's been doing most of the cooking, which is fine with me because I've been doing production on trying to get ready for this summer's shows. So it goes back and forth like that for us.
Yeah. Very nice. Sharon, you're up.
Okay. David and I actually met when I was working in a bookstore. He came in and he was looking at the science fiction and fantasy, and I was helping him a little bit. And he says, "I've written a book, which anyone who's ever worked in a bookstore knows is a really bad pickup line." So,
and, the worst.
Yeah, but we met before his first book ever came out, and I probably bought the first copy because I bought it before it was supposed to go on the shelves.
Nice.
There you go. And this one's for me?
Yeah, this one's for me. And he's always been a night writer. We knew each other for about 6 years or so before we married. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. He had a couple of good books out, but not great sales yet. The first honor book wasn't out yet, and after that, it kind of blew up, I guess.
You might say that.
Yeah, kind of. And
then I dominated the industry.
Yeah. So it's kind of been, it's been this whole progress that this journey we've been on together. I got him invited to his first con. I gave him his first autographing ever, next to Roger Zelazny and Louis McMaster Bujold and Steve White. So we kind of slowly have been figuring this industry out along the way with some hiccups and some good times. We've done a lot of things that I never thought a little girl from South Carolina would do. So it's been a journey.
Very cool. Excellent. Wendy, what about you?
We're kind of a little bit different story. Chris and I have only been married 4 years. I was a single parent for about 14 years when I met him. And how I met him was actually I was home. I had an emergency surgery hysterectomy. I was home in the bed, bored out of my brain, couldn't go to work, couldn't do anything around the house. And so he says, well, I've got some books that I haven't published. Would you like to read them? Tell me what you think. And I'm like, you want honest opinion? He's like, yes, honest opinion. I said, okay, sure. Send them to me. I love to read. So he sends me over the first one. I read it in a day. Immediately messaged him back and said, where's the other one? So he sends me the second one. I read it in 4 hours. I said, okay, where's the next one? He says, I haven't written it yet. I said, well, you better get busy.
You better put your butt on the keyboard.
So he was not published. He had been writing stories since he was very young for his sisters. Every time they would come up with a character or world, he would immediately write stories, short stories for them and give it to them for bedtime things and things to keep them busy. So he had been doing that for a long, long time. But the books that he really wanted to put out, when he sent them to me, I said, you've got to publish these. And he says, well, I've sent them places and, you get denials, you get declined. They say, not now, try again later or whatever. So I said, no, you need to do it. I said, put it out yourself, put it on Amazon, get it out there. Somebody's going to want to read this. And so he reluctantly, sat around for a little while and says, I just don't know. I don't know that it's the best thing. And then he finally put it out there and it blew up. And he started he sold 20, then he sold 100, then he sold 1,000 of them. And he couldn't believe it. And I'm sitting back there going, I knew this the whole time. I love to read and I knew a good book when I read it. So I was very proud of him when he did that. He went out of his comfort zone, went out there and did it. And even now going out and meeting people, he's shy at times. And so for him to go out and do that is a big thing. But we met through the books and we talked for about 6 months online before we met in person because he was in a totally different place. And so then we finally decided to meet for the first time, met, and it was just like everything clicked immediately. And we kind of we were still taking our time. Both of us were kind of scared about stuff. But about 2 years later, we got married. And like I say, it's 4 years now. We're coming up on in April. So I'm very proud of you.
That's very interesting that your story actually, your author spouse story started with you making him publish his story. That's interesting. I like that. I like that dynamic. That's cool.
Like I say, we're a little bit different than most of them, but he's got out to what, 7, 8, 9 books now, I think. So in a few years.
There's that legendary story about Stephen King that threw away Carrie. He wrote the book Carrie, and he threw it. He's a teacher, and he threw it in the trash can. His wife pulled it out of the trash can and made him go forward with it. So people have good judgment.
I think one of the interesting things is like you encouraged your husband to publish. Sharon, you actually work really closely handling kind of the business side of things and email and all that.
Yep, for a long time.
Sheila, you're starting to get into a little bit of writing. I wonder with the rest of the group. And Joy, you mentioned doing, starting up for getting stuff together for the shows and conventions and things. Bridget, do you work with Larry at all doing anything, or you?
We like to say that I'm the administrative assistant. And so I don't do I don't do what Sheila does or what Sharon does. I don't do that, but I do help. I kind of do everything else because we're just really busy people, and I handle everything on the home front. And that's it's kind of crazy. We have 4 kids. They're teenagers. They're running around. Larry doesn't know when stuff is happening. He has no idea when book tour is. And so he doesn't know where his socks are some days. And that's fine. I'm not good with laundry. I'll own that part. But I do a lot, but it's not as tangible as what some of the other ladies do. And mostly that's because for us and our relationship, there needs to be a little bit more of a separation of church and state for us to get along. work together.
And that's interesting because a few years ago, when I got pretty serious about the writing and doing the indie stuff, my wife, she had read some of my stuff, and she said, "I'm not going to read any more of your stuff." Yeah. And the reason was because
stuff.
It puts a lot of stress on the relationship. You know,
I don't read any of it, so she's not alone. I don't read any of it at all because for him to do it, he needs me to be his biggest cheerleader, and I can't be his biggest cheerleader if I'm also picking apart his work and being a critic.
Right.
I don't read David's anymore either. I don't read David's anymore. Yeah, he talked about it way too much. So
I got some spoilers already on that one.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that's not like David at all to talk a whole lot.
And I think
not at all.
Anybody that's met him knows he talks.
He's a talker. He
holds the record on Keystroke for the longest ever live episode of Keystroke.
He dominates that record.
Do it again; he'll go longer.
We need to do it in the morning one time.
Yes,
I think let it go.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go get lunch now. I'll be right back. Just keep talking. It'll be a good show.
Yeah, we'll do like a phone-a-thon or something. We'll take shifts, and that way somebody can.
He would do it too. So
yes, he would.
Well, I'm curious to know the different because everybody has a little bit different relationship with the writing and the spouses. And are there different because some people like read each other's work all the time, some people don't, or if there's the differences. So I don't know who wants to talk kind of about that.
I read everything that he does. I actually edit for him. He does an edit through. I do an edit through before we ever send it anywhere else. So I'm very into all of the books that he's putting out. I know the characters. I fall in love with the characters. I mean, we cosplay the characters, so I have to fall in love with those. But I'm very, very involved in all that, and I do all of the travel plans and all that, looking up the city, finding out where we're going. I'm the one that handles all that because his brain has all the voices in it talking to him, and he can't function on that level. So that all falls to me. But I've always been a planner, so that's normal.
And Joy, when you talk about the conferences, like I've never been to cons, like big ones, but I know like you guys do like really big cons, like Fantasize coming up. You do Dragon Con and those big cons.
Yeah.
And I've seen Chris's setup. I've seen Mark's setup. So what kind of, days of planning have to go into something like that to get set up to do those?
Well, most of the time now, we know what we have and we know what it takes to display it. So we know ahead of time. We usually pack the truck the day before we leave. Depending on how far away it is, we'll leave the day before the con. So we arrive a day early. So we're not trying to set up, 5 minutes after we got there and we're all stiff and sore because, getting old is not for the weak. And, I have 4 or 5 of these great big bins of, they almost look like old style steamer trunks, but they're probably about the same volume. And I've got 4 of those just filled with bags and backpacks and purses and stuff like that. We have 4 of those full of t-shirts. And then sometimes we have to take our own tables. We have to take, always if we want it, we have to take our own grid wall. And then I use those little wire crate things that you set up with those horrible little plastic connectors. I hate those things. They're terrible, but they're the thing that functions the best for us and the way we need to display stuff. So we take all that stuff, we load it up the day before. That way we can have a little chill time before we get on the road. But mostly Mark does we have to leave at X time to get there at the time we want to. He usually does hotel reservations because in his day job previously, he flew 40 to 60 times a year for work. And so he did all of his own travel arrangement because the company would always put him up, they would stick him in business class or in first class and stick him in this high-end hotel that was like 3 times as much as it needed to be. And he's like, dude, Holiday Inn Express is where I want to stay. I get breakfast in the morning and it's cheap. But they wouldn't book him that way. So he's the planner in this relationship. I'm just the go with the flow. It's his thing that we arrive a day early and that we pack a day before that. And It's nice. I like it. I like working that way. But like, I don't do much in the way of like assistant for him. Right now he does most of his own stuff. Now, when it came to the Kickstarter, I did a lot of that. And I'll do probably just as much. I do the technical side. I run our websites, I update them, you know, all that fun stuff. But mostly it's him doing the planning.
So I want to shift gears just a little bit, and and think about this answer before you give it, because it's really curious. My wife doesn't read my books at all, and not because she doesn't like my writing, because she can't stand sci-fi. She doesn't like that stuff. It took me 6 years to get her to watch Game of Thrones, and now she's like locked in on Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones and Harry Potter are the only sci-fi fantasy shows she'll watch. If it's Star Trek, she'll lose her mind. If it's Star Wars, she hates it. So she just doesn't read my stuff. But I'll start talking about my ideas, and she'll just sit there and and so I know that it's really annoying to her that I do that. So I'm wondering if you guys are aware of what's the most annoying thing that your spouse does when they're either writing or planning to write a book and they need to have a conversation with you about it. I love this part of the show. No one wants to go first.
No one wants to go because
I'll go. Okay. David just finished volume 1 in the Gordian Protocol with Jacob Hollow. And I have learned way more about time travel than I ever wanted to know, and string theory and knots in space-time continuum. And then he was working on the Safehold, the newest Safehold, and he had dirigibles, blimps. I don't really care about the pounds per square inch lift that zinc will give you if you you sitting there in the minutia that just spills forth out of these guys, and you're just sitting there going, I really don't care about how many dragons it takes to lift a cubic metric ton of whatever. But you find out all of this stuff because they talk about it ad nauseum. They think the research that is interesting to them should be equally interested to you, and you're like, no, I really don't care. So, and David gets into history like that too. So I'm just like,
someday you'll be caught on a time traveling blimp, and you'll be glad that you had part of that conversation.
You know. And then I'll go, I know how many metric tons.
Wait, I know the answer.
I need 17 dragons. Stat.
What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow?
Does that be European?
European or African swallow?
There you go.
Any other dangerous seekers?
Volunteers
want to spill the beans for the most annoying.
Mark walks in with this look on his face, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be sewing, I could be watching a tutorial video, I could be knee deep in dogs. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. And he's like, and I'm like, all right, I better turn all this other stuff off and just pay attention because there's no other option. But when it's about the science parts, I like that because I learn stuff. We were talking about atoms the other day, and something I missed because I had a basketball coach for a chemistry teacher in high school. Something I missed was that every atom starts out as hydrogen, and then however many times it goes through different suns, it changes and grows up the periodic table of elements. I didn't know that. Now I do. And I think it's cool. But
again, very useful.
Yeah. He bounces a lot of like situations off of me, and especially because he likes to write female characters, he'll be like, okay, so this is a situation. What would you have done? And I'll be like, or this is what I think she's going to do. Does that make sense? Is that off to you? Does it feel right? So I get a lot of that. And he complains that I don't read his stuff as it comes out. And I'm like, dude, I got to listen to it because I got too much other stuff to do. And I'll listen to it just at my own speed. But I started out editing for him a long time ago. And in the first book realized that was not going to work. But yeah, he bounces a lot of stuff, but he comes in and it's like a speeding bullet. It just hits you right there, and it's like, okay, I got to stop everything else and pay attention.
I think for me, like Sharon said, it's like just all of the story stuff being thrown at me. And I'm not a sci-fi girl. I actually just read my very first book by Chris, just finished it, even though it's in my profile picture. I had never read it. So also working at his table, you know, I feel like I have to read at least one book in the Four Horsemen universe, because how do you promote it if you haven't read it? Mm-hmm. So I have to agree with when he's writing and he's got all these ideas, he'll start telling me about it. And I just get this glazed look. It just comes across my face. And I'm like, So, and also I think another thing, not necessarily with the writing part, but he likes to stretch stories now. Like, so when it's something that we've done together or he's talking about me, he will like take that story and just make it 10 times bigger. So, so he's very good at like really spinning tales.
He's got to work on your
the
craft.
same guy that yells at me for writing an extra long short story likes to take his own stories and make them super long. I see how it is.
That's probably where he got the idea. You know, this story could be 12,000 words, I think. I put time into it.
Definitely.
Bridget or Wendy?
I'm going to be the exception. I don't really mind when Larry tells me about what he's writing about. It's fun to see him get passionate. It's fun to hear what's going on in his brain and what he's so excited about. And we have a lot of the same interests, and I think his characters are interesting. For me, it's more of just the day-to-day life. There are things that annoy me. Like when he's working and he'll like about every half an hour, 45 minutes, he has to do a walkabout, and he'll walk through the house and tell me, Bridget. And I have to stop what I'm doing and pay attention to whatever cool, exciting thing. And then he does this like, okay, well, I got to get back to work. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not stopping you.
I'm not holding you back, buddy. Go ahead. But I mean, I really don't mind his writing process. It's kind of fun. And like I said, I don't read his stuff, so I don't get as inundated with it as maybe the other ladies do.
That's a lot of the reason Josh and I probably didn't have our spouses on here, because if you ask this question to my wife, she'd say all the things, and then that would be the rest of the show. There's lots of things. Pacing and stuff. I got in the habit of like voice dictating on my phone. I'll pace around the basement and pace around this and that. And so it could be a little bit invasive.
Super fun for her.
I know. Yeah. I only do it when she's gone because that would be rude.
I know for me, I love it when we bounce scenes off each other. As we drive anywhere we go, we're throwing scenes back and forth, what city we're driving through, whatever. Like, can you see something happening here? You know, what would you put here? And we just spend this whole time writing. We usually go to bed at night. He's pitching things off that he's thought about throughout the day, and we'll create scenes while we're sitting there. A lot of his come through dreams anyway, so it's just natural for us to discuss it in the morning or in the evening and create a whole new character and an entire new universe. So it's really neat that way. The biggest annoying thing with him is that when he is into writing and he's got a book in his head, he has to go put it down. He has to get it in the computer. He has to get it on paper. He has to put it somewhere to get this voice out of his head. And the whole time it's in there, he can't remember to do anything else.
Oh no, it's the dreaded zone.
Yes, it's like didn't do the dishes, didn't put up whatever he was supposed, yeah. So that's
and heaven forbid you interrupt the zone.
Right. The last few weeks of the project are that way for Mark. He's in there, he forgets to eat, whatever. So when I realize that that's what's going on, I'm like, okay, time to go back to cooking.
So that's actually my number one.
You know what day of the week it is. He has no idea what day of the week it is. And he'll be like, yeah, so I'm going to get this done by the end of the week. And I'm like, okay, well, that's tomorrow.
No pressure.
He's like, what day is it? It's Friday, dude. Oh, crap. What happened to Tuesday? Did we do something Tuesday?
Right.
So,
exactly. One thing that's kind of different about me too is I'm not home all day. So I have a job that I work in.
You are so lucky.
So I get out and about, and I just have to come home in the evening and the weekends and the conventions and stuff to deal with that in. So yeah, I'm a little bit different from the other ladies that have to handle it all day long.
Kind of jealous. I'm kind of jealous.
Gotta go ahead and admit it.
A little bit.
That's actually my number one highlighted question here, which we talked about. A couple of us talked about yesterday when we were doing all the sound checks. Was what are your spouses like when they're finishing a novel or in the zone? So I'm.
Do they have a Scott
you
rage?
said it, and do they have a Scott rage? Yes, where they're breaking their computers. Well, like David's books are ridiculously long anyway, so you obviously have like a regular, like just a time, regular time that you write. But if you're in that zone, I mean, it's got to last several days up to several weeks. And I mean, does it take you a really long time to realize that they're in the zone, or is it just, oh, they're there, they're in the zone, and they're gone for a couple weeks?
No one wants to answer.
Sometimes I know it right away, but sometimes I'm a little slow and it takes me a few days.
I think Sharon was trying to answer, but I couldn't hear her.
Sorry.
Uh-oh, her mic's out.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I didn't
We
break
lost
it.
your sound, Sharon.
Well, let me send her a message to see if I can get her to plug her, maybe tweak her microphone cord. Maybe she got tweaked out.
I like the fact that your podcasting station, Josh, looks like literally this Enterprise command bridge or something. You got like a mixing board.
This is my command station.
I'm just hiding in the basement. I'm being the basement dweller of all the ladies. You guys have this like nice setup, and I'm just like, okay, don't angle it that way because then they'll see the mess.
I didn't want to do it in Chris's office.
Well, see, that's something I don't have to worry about because you can't see me.
I even tried to be glamorous and do like a little setup with lights, and I just ended up looking like the crypt keeper.
Oh no!
I know. It's what
You are
hurt.
not.
No, she's a crypt keeper. No.
We should all
So
just go get like Halloween masks.
You can't see.
I could show you the mass of half-finished bags over here.
See, but you have an excuse. You just built your house. I got nothing, man, and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
You should see all the books in the music room.
Are you not packing up to move?
I don't have time.
You're building a house, Bridget.
You're like
so-
Titanic.
right?
Throw it in a box. Throw it in the box, and let's. Oh crap! The movers are here. Throw it in a box. We'll sort it out later.
They're
I
building
hate
a
moving.
castle.
Yeah, they
Yes,
are.
but somebody mentioned that in the chat. They mentioned that there's a castle being built.
It's not a castle. It's a
Darn it.
comfortable house
Castle.
that I don't want to clean.
It's a comfortable castle-like house.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing. My wife and I, we have quickly outgrown our house, and now she works from home too. Well, she doesn't have an off. She still has to leave the house to go into. She does medical sales and spinal sales, and so she has to leave to go to the hospital, do cases and things. But her office is right across the hall from mine, and so I have 4 kids. And when they're all here and everybody's here, it's just a huge madhouse. And so we were like, well, we should probably like get a bigger house. So we kind of outgrew this one. And we both were like, but then we have to move, we have to pack, and we have to do all that stuff. And we just don't want to do any of that. And so we'll just be claustrophobic for a while.
The last time we moved, we said never again.
Josh,
But-
can you hear me now?
Ah,
You're
there
back.
we go.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm
Success.
back. Yay! Sorry,
No, it's okay.
it's
it
David's
happens.
equipment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Damn
But
it,
now we're
David,
all-
make it work.
I know.
Now we're all super curious on what you were going to tell us. I don't know if you remember where we were at in the conversation 20 minutes ago, but most of what we usually do are
The zone.
Yes,
about
well,
the zone.
the zone. Yes,
The
yes.
zone,
Yes.
yes.
David's never not in the zone. He lives in his world, and he writes sometimes 16 hours a day. So I send the
That's
kids
right.
out. Yeah, I send the kids out and say, "Time to come in and fix dinner." He's the cook, and he can't tell the kids no. So it's my secret weapon.
There you go.
I don't know what I'm going to do when they go off to college, but
probably hire some neighbor kids.
Yeah,
just come over.
Go ask him about food. So yeah,
just go get like a really loud bell and just start ringing the bell until he stops.
Well, see, okay,
or
I don't
just
know.
Order out.
Order pizza. I don't know about the other ladies, but David got kicked out of the house a long time ago. His office is actually on the other side of the swimming pool in a separate little building because he uses voice activated software, and I could relate to Scott talking to his phone because David starts getting
animated.
Sure, that's a word. Annoyed if the dragon doesn't actually listen to him and say what he says.
There could be some non-recorded dragon profanity going on when it's not working, which we also refer to as the Scott rage. And then I message Josh, and it's all caps.
Yeah, but David used to work in the house, and we decided that was not going to. I don't know, partially because he likes to ride at night, and I don't know, the children and I like to sleep.
People like to sleep.
Normal folks.
And hearing him screaming at his computer was not helping. So yeah.
So the funny thing is that I do voice dictation. I also use this mic to do voice dictation on my computer, but my 19-year-old daughter's room is right there on the other side of this wall, and our little dog. And so when we first started, I would ask her, I said, am I waking you up, getting up? Because I get up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, blah, 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 hitty, 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 talking that, but so far it hasn't really been a problem. I also got a loud clackety clack keyboard that Josh convinced me to buy too. So really everything is Josh's fault. That's the point of this whole story. I don't know if it's not always obvious, but that's what I'm always getting at. Anyway, sorry.
All Josh's fault.
That's right.
Yeah, we write that down. It's our company notes.
That's in the masthead. It's all Josh's fault.
Oh.
Right. Blame it on Josh.
So we've had a couple funny moments, funny facts. I wonder what's the one thing or the one thing that comes to mind that you are most proudest of your husbands for? We can start on this side. We'll start with Wendy.
Okay. It just have to be for him being brave enough finally to just take the plunge and see what happens. And he's done nothing but grow his fandom and everything along the way. Our motto is one fan at a time. And that's what we do is we approach each person as the only fan. And you get to know them and they become part of your family. And so our family has grown exponentially between authors and fans and things going on with the cons, the universes that he's been able to write in, all these, it's family. And but I'm real proud of him for just stepping out and doing that because he was very hesitant to do it. He was worried. You know, any writer they have a security issue. They're very insecure. I don't care who it is. I don't care how popular they've been. They all have that insecurity inside them. Is it good enough? You know, is it okay to put out there? Is somebody going to like it? And so I guess it's for any of the authors to step out and put that book out in the hands, and you're just like, your heart opens up and they just kind of set it out there like, okay, tell me what you think. So I'm kind of proud of any of them that can go and do that because it's not an easy thing.
Absolutely.
It touches my heart. Every time I think about him doing that, it just makes me cry. So sorry.
That's really what we're going for is laughter and tears on the show.
Okay. Okay. I can do that.
What about you, Sharon?
I agree with what Wendy said. David has always been his own person. None of this has really changed him in any way, unfortunately, in a couple of cases. But I think he's very proud of the fact that he has entertained and enlightened so many lives. He's touched so many people. People have come to us at cons and said, you know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have gone into the military or done whatever. And, you know, they've named kids after his characters. And I mean, when you think about the impact that he has had on so many lives, it's amazing. It really is. Not only the fan club, but just people we meet every day. So that's what I'm most proud of him. So
that's awesome. I know that the Basilication was like one of the first sci-fi books I ever read. I read it while I was in the military.
Yep. He's really proud of the fact he gets the military right. And he's had people come and say, you got it right, dude, you know.
Yeah.
So we support the military and support veterans, you know.
It's a tough thing to get right, and if you get it wrong, normally you get it way wrong.
Way wrong. Yep.
Oh, they won't hesitate to tell you though.
Oh no,
if you get it wrong. They will send you emails, messages, anything they have to. You need to change this. This is wrong. So.
They sure will.
If you want,
what about you, Joy?
Go ahead.
Mark is one of those people that sometimes can be easily discouraged. This is something he has wanted with his whole being for as long as he can remember. And I am just overwhelmed with pride in him that he keeps going. He's been writing full novels for over 20 years and just in the last, and working really hard at it. And just in the last 2 years, we've had some real tangible success. And I couldn't be prouder of him. Just that he kept going.
That's really awesome.
Absolutely. Sheila, what about you?
Most proud of, I mean, he's amazing. He does so many different things. Author, publisher, you know, and it blows my mind that he has gone like 5 years ago from writing one book to this huge I think it's huge publishing company, you know, with all of these great authors that he, you know, now has working with him and for him. And it's like one big family. Like, it's just, I get chills because like, it's like a big family reunion every time we get together and we're all family now. Yeah, and definitely. I can't even explain it. Like, he's just amazing because from not even wanting to write a book, you know, to, oh, I have this idea. I think I'm going to try this. And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, here we are. And I think there's like 26 authors writing in the Four Horsemen universe. And, you know, he works hard every day, all day, starting first thing in the morning at 6:30, writing all the way through till about 10 o'clock at night. And and he's helped so many people, you know, be able to quit day jobs and write full time. And it's just a really cool thing.
Absolutely. It is super cool. And we are very thankful for him.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me write a really long short story in your anthology.
Me too.
What about you, Bridget? Last but not least.
I don't know what to say about my Larry, but that man is the reason that the sun shines as far as I'm concerned. I am proud of him because of everything he's accomplished. Yeah. I mean, he was a farm kid from a rough background and a rough home life, and in El Nido, California. And he made so much of his life. He worked hard. He pursues everything with a single-minded passion that he just won't give up. He's relentless until he's successful. He's a fantastic dad. He's an A+++ husband, as much as I like to give him a hard time. But he's fantastic. He's just such a fantastic person. And he is the kind of person that, I know he can be a little controversial at times, but Larry Correia is Larry Correia. He's the same guy in person as he is online. And he will go out of his way to support and help people, even people that I'm like, honey, that person does not deserve it. They are a jerk. But he does it. He'll go out of his way. I'm just really proud of everything he's done. He's been able to take his hobbies and his interests. I mean, like the little mini painting. Have you seen that stuff he does? It's like tiny. And he's taking it from being just a little hobby to something that he's really good at. And he's a really good rider, and he's really, really talented. And I don't know, I feel like I'm gushing, but there's just, okay. I can't pick something really specific to say about him because I'm just so proud of who he is. And I feel really lucky every single day that I get to be on this ride with him. And I know it's hard, and I see behind the scenes how hard he works, and I see the sacrifices, and I see the things that he does so that he can help other people grow and to develop and have opportunities. And I'm just really, really proud. I couldn't pick anybody better to be on this road with. He's awesome. I love him.
He gives the best
I'm
hug.
my boyfriend. He's so cute.
Tell us how you really feel.
Right?
Guys,
I think if we didn't all feel that way about our husbands, that the world would be a little different, you know?
Yeah. Well, they would be different, and you would not be getting the cool books from our
right.
What I think is great about this very nice moment that we've just had is subtitled that whole thing. Everybody's line was, "But I'll stab him in the back." Like if he doesn't stop being crazy.
But now go to your room.
That's right. That's right.
Josh, that's not true. We won't do it in the back. They'll see us coming. So
they'll have warnings.
If you stab them, then you just have to clean it up.
I know.
Yeah, right?
That's true. Exactly. Yeah, you have to be a little bit more sneaky about stuff.
That's right. Cue Mark with the duct tape again.
Right?
Well, guys, we're coming to the end of the hour, and it has been a fantastic hour talking with each and every one of you. I'd like to thank you guys for taking time out of your schedules to come and hang out with us and spill the beans, as it were. I'd like to give a round of applause to Sheila, because this was her idea back in November of last year to get all you guys together.
You're welcome.
And I think that was
Sheila.
That's right. So thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks,
Thanks for having us.
Hell yeah.
Scott. Thanks, Josh.
Awesome.
Next week we have Adrian. I can't. I'm gonna have to rehearse this last name. Tchaikovsky. He'll be on the show Monday. Kevin Tumlinson's going to be on the show Thursday talking about Facebook community, building Facebook communities. Hey, we did that. And then coming up next month, we're doing Covers for a Cure on April 27th. This will be Covers for a Cure 3. So if you're an indie author that is in the market for covers, Tom Edwards and Jamie Glover are going to be doing covers for us this time. And this year's charity donation,
a little closer to home.
It's going to a very close friend of mine and Scott's. He is a police officer on our department, Matt Young, who was just recently diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and they gave him a short amount of time to live. So we are going to do the Covers for a Cure for him this year. So all the money, 100% of the proceeds that we get from that event will go to Matt and his family. He has 7 kids, and has been a detective, been on the police department for well over 25 years, I think.
Yeah, I think he's my contemporary, so pretty close to that.
It's close.
Yeah. Actually, I think so a bit, but bomb squad technician, super guy, really somebody who helps out others.
Very, very great guy. So that's what we're doing this year. So mark that on your calendars. April 27th, which is a Saturday, it'll be 1 p.m. Central. Like I said, if you're in the mood for a cover, I think we're actually having an edit too. I'll have to verify that, but an edit package of what might be available as well. So anyway, thank you guys for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And we will come back next week. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing, and of course, everything in between here on Keystroke Medium.
And how not to get duct taped by an unfortunate murder that's happening in the background.
That's right. And don't get duct taped in your house. Good night.